The mere idea of NFTs is stupid. Using gargantuan amounts of electricity for the sake of free money that nobody who isn't already converted into your cult is going to see the value of art that looks worse than 2000's Flash character generators. It sounds so stupid it shouldn't be real, but it is. I don't have any idea as to if the trend is actually dying down, but it's obvious that people who are already rich are the only ones making money, and the rest of us are shivering and suffering because of it. But one thing I can aptly talk about is its effect on social media, which is to say it's made it even worse. Everyone knows the right-click save meme, but I bet that a lot of people still barely know what NFTs are, aside from ugly monkeys. All I can say is that for as bad as these cursed things are for the environment, the effect it has on people's personalities are much worse.
This boo-boo is our ticket to the good life. Have you ever heard of crypto?
Let's start here. If you get involved in NFTs, you're automatically going to ruin your mentions. Most of your followers are going to hate you and they may not forgive you either. However, you likely will fall into two camps. You're already a well-liked public figure and the rage is because you're likely the last sort of person people would suspect to get into NFTs. Or you're someone who already has a failing public reputation and you kinda just want to sink with the ship. Tara Strong is someone who immediately comes to mind. To anyone uninitiated, you might simply know her as someone who frequently voices in cartoons. However, when she said that she was not only going to become a part of, but officially endorse an NFT related project, all hell broke loose. I can sort of understand people being wrapped up in this stuff and not know what NFTs are. You either have someone like an agent or a sleazy commissioner sell you on the concept without telling you any of the downsides or people you'll be pissing off, creating a PR nightmare. I have no idea what goes into the process of these projects, but I do know that once you officially endorse a project, all of that plausible deniability goes out the window, and people are right to assume that you are aware of the consequences of your actions for endorsing a project, but simply don't care.
As you can see from my extensive research, destroying the climate through climate change equals money. Tell me more.
I'm sorry, but it seems impossible for me to think that this is being made with the artist's best intent. The only consistent thing I see about NFTs, aside from them being ugly monkeys that harm the environment, is that if they are good art, there is a 2/3 chance that it's stolen from someone that doesn't want anything to do with NFTs. If this wasn't a problem, DeviantArt wouldn't have implemented a system to let people intervene and take their works off the blockchain. For the 1/3 that go into it that are aware and simply don't care, it doesn't make sense, but the consequences are done, unless you are really good at covering things up, I guess. I don't know why people don't talk about Mark Burnett during NFTs. Maybe a lot of people don't know. It's not like it's really advertised much, but for someone who does a lot of good for your community in terms of brushes and educational resources both for free and for profit, it legit makes no sense why you would need NFTs as a third pillar. In the case of people who have already had fallen reputations, Yukino Joe is someone that I'm genuinely disappointed by. He's apparently made one of his more well-known animations in NFT, was mad that it wasn't getting any buys, and has been lashing out at everyone, especially his audience, for a while. As someone who only watches animations for years, it's a letdown that he's fell down this path.
The NFTs that I do are not environment destroying NFTs, so what's the problem?
But I think if you have to make a green alternative to your get-rich-quick scam, that's indirectly confirmed that it was never environmentally friendly, thus proving the detractors right. Not to mention, Twitter just isn't a spot where this can be discussed to begin with. There is no nuance to any conversation on the site, which is why at best it should only be used for jokes and posting art. Alright, bots and chuds will try to mint your art if you post it. It's actually frustrating because when someone's controversial for other reasons like being anti-vaxxers or supporting autism speaks, their audience might ignore or make excuses for this if they're fandom darlings. However, sometimes people are shitty at keeping their mouths shut, so finding out Joe went out of his way to throw shade at industry artists and complain about the validity of New Deal for animation was easy, and he definitely got dunked on for that. So while a lot of people may be hating on NFTs for the clout or simply partaking in the right-click meme because it's funny, to imply that everyone is like that is unfair and just a bad argument. My personal final straw was seeing that I was followed by Csupo, along with other art and animation fans, solely for the reason promoting his upcoming NFTs. I removed him from my followers after that immediately.
Sometimes celebrities are asked to endorse things.
That's right, Lily. And sometimes they aren't the highest quality goods.
So how do you know when to listen to celebrities?
A good rule of thumb is
You can never trust celebrities.
Not even the ones in this ad.
Most of the prominent faces in the NFT community are people who already have money. People who, unlike most of us, don't really stand to lose anything by gambling on apes. They aren't really the marks of this movement, though. For scam to work, you need to take advantage of somebody's desires. The newest way to ratio people on Twitter is to reply to them saying your crypto accounts got hacked and you need a graphic designer and you want to subscribe to them on OnlyFans. There's so many Twitter bots programmed to respond to those phrases that you can completely ruin someone's mentions forever by doing this. I think NFTs work the same way, but the desires they tap into are a lot more abstract. To illustrate what I mean, here's a funny story that happened to me. Do you guys remember Nerd City, the commentary guy who made really high-effort videos about Daddy05 and Jake Paul and whatnot? He came back this year with his long-delayed expose on J-Station. It was a good video, but the ending of it put a lot of people off since it was a promo for a completely unrelated NFT project. Now, Nerd City is a lot of things, but he's not the kind of guy to get into shit just for the money. So, what gives? I think his real reason for participating is something he said to me. See, when I saw this video, I said some shit about it on Twitter. I thought that his math on his so-called environmentally friendly NFT platform was off, but most of all, I thought it was a really cringy straw man. Like, his idea of an NFT critic is a fursuiter holding up a sign that literally says, "Don't tell me what to think, someone else already did." Real wake-up sheeple vibes. Now, Nerd City has been responding to all of his critics over this video to argue with them in the replies. He got ratioed by a furry with 80 followers after calling him a halfwit who lives in an echo chamber. I fully expected Nerd to reply to me with some mean shit, but what he did say was really telling to me, especially this last line here. 99% of the devices in your house probably use this much energy, but no one pretends to cry about them on Twitter to bully artists. As funny as it is that someone so well-known got mad at me in particular, even having his friends get involved to make fun of me, I think there's something darker happening here than just I ratioed some YouTuber. A year ago, he defended NFTs to me as being the best way for artists to make money in an era of piracy. As someone who is overall anti-copyright, I respectfully disagreed. And just this week, he's been concerned trolling Dan Olsen over his take, and telling people in the replies that NFTs are great for artists and charity and the environment and whatnot. Unlike me, Dan Olsen is big enough for there to be a backlash against Nerd for doing this shit, and yet, he still won't budge. There are people who really like art, as you should, and they've come to the conclusion we all do eventually, that artists aren't paid or appreciated enough, and that they deserve more from the world. There's a lot of easy fixes to this, and they all have batshit insane consequences. Extensions to copyright law and IP ownership have made it so sampling is de facto illegal, and borrowing as little as 3 notes from another song can make you liable for infringement. The system here is pretty broken, and it's comforting to lean into a fix that seems so simple like this, but they never seem to come around to making things better for artists. To the point where most artists have to fight against this system just to keep it from swallowing them. But of course, there are some artists who are all for NFTs. How's that working out for them?
From Tara Strong, Greg Sipes, Jack Black, and Eric Andre to Enway, Square, Hasbro, and Sega, many of my favorite people and companies that make stuff I enjoy are getting involved in this stuff. And I'll be honest, it's very hard to avoid this stuff when every company doesn't care about the environment. I wish I had a solution to this, but all I can suggest is to not hold any company or individual who makes stuff you like on a pedestal. They are just as able to make mistakes as you, and the less you financially support them, if you can, the better. Hopefully it sends a message. Pray for the bubble to burst and for people to come to their senses. but a lot of people are throwing out their morality for these apes, so you're not under any obligation to forgive them. In the immortal words of Young Nudie, look what that money make a bitch do.